fresh and be so specific, but I normally don't like to talk about cases this fresh and be so specific, but I want to talk about how our system is, the good, bad, and the ugly. I had a client who had a horrible criminal history from years ago, and he had reset his life, and he had been doing good, and he had been working diligently for years. And so he let his relative borrow his vehicle for a minute, and they exchanged the vehicle right back. And he did not realize that his relative had left the firearm in the car, in the glove compartment. And so he got stopped for a regular traffic violation. There was an issue with his tag. You know, he was explaining to the officer, you know, what was going on with his tag, and that he had already been through another jurisdiction, and they were giving him a chance to fix the situation with his tag. So when he reached over to the glove compartment to get the ticket out to show the officer, he saw the handgun in there. And he immediately told the officer that there was a handgun in the car, and he also told the officer that he was a convicted felon. And so as a result of that, he was arrested. He also explained to the officer that it wasn't his handgun. He explained who it was. The officer called, and the person said, yeah, I left it in the vehicle. And so we went to court. And when we went to court, you know, I kept saying to him, no, we need to fight this. We need to fight this. We need to fight this. But he didn't want to address his past. He didn't want all the stuff from his past to be brought up. And we went to court, and I told him, we're going to ask for a sentence that does not include prison time. State wanted prison time. So needless to say, we went ahead and we presented. His employer went out of their way to be there, which is unreal. The individual whose gun it belonged to, and they had already established that the gun belonged to them. They had already gotten back the gun. Everything else was there. And we presented. And the judge in this case, I'm not a very emotional person, and I don't get sentimental, like hardly ever. But the words that he was saying, like, resonated with me so much. And it resonated with my client because he talked about it afterwards. Like, literally, the judge took in consideration everything. His pronouncement was he was giving my client 5 years and 2 years to be in confinement, suspended upon him doing 240 hours of community service in a manner in which he could give back to the community in a place where guns are regularly misused. I look forward to a time where we have judges on the bench that carve out unique sentences for individuals that don't involve just straight sending everybody to prison. I normally don't like to
we had mothers to raise us. They raised us to be women, raise our own children. Yes, see, y'all go pick them. All y'all want somebody you can put your hand on and whine and all cutting and all that foolishness. A woman has to be a woman. A woman places in a home. A man places to provide. And if he don't provide, then you don't need him.
So, Mama Agnes, what kind of women like us dudes just choose? How do you feel about us just choosing all these, you know?
I don't feel anything because I got my man. I've been had him for 54 years. And I always had to be a woman. I've been a woman. I've been working since I was 7. I've been raising children since I was 5. I've been cooking since I was 4.5. And these women today, all they know is McDonald's, fast foods and stuff. They don't know nothing about cooking and feeding no man. Or wait till a man hard through his stomach. Get you behind in there and cook.
You know,
and feed him.
And what about the
and make sure he get up off his butt and go to work.
Is that something that's missing in this community?
No, the women sorry. Now, they may not like me for saying it, but these young women today, they don't even raise their children. Their children raising them. Look, a woman place is to raise her children, and at the end of the day, tell their husbands which one they had to almost kill. That's how that go. That's why the juvenile center is so full, and they're expanding the jails because mothers don't raise their children and putting them. Because we had mothers to raise us. They raised.
I can't hear What's the name of it, Judy? Water brought us.
Take a stand, stand your ground. Spirit dancer, bring the spirit down. Talking drama, make that sacred sound. It's our movement, and it's going down. Take a stand, stand your ground. Spirit dancer, bring the spirit down. Talking drama, make that sacred sound. It's our movement, and it's going down.
It's critical when sitting around waiting on a miracle. This has become her daily ritual. Time to embrace the spiritual. Moves the tables and the chairs. Takes off her shoes. Time to leave behind her cares. We all got issues, but it's not the time to bear. You let her, she'll take you somewhere.
Take a stand,
Take a stand,
stand your ground.
stand your ground. She'll take you there. Talking drama, make it. It's going down. Mesmerized by her circular motions, she has the power. This is her potion. You got the time, she'll inspire an ocean. Now's the time for you to get open. Cold so wild, she wears the crown. Be it home in a new town. Not in attendance, they always bow down.
Hello, world. Hello, world. Hello, universe. Hello, community, city, state, country, the hood, and the home. This is Dr. J.L.M. Hood, host and executive producer of Visions Now, your supper club. And we'd like to welcome you back for another segment. All views expressed for education and journalistic purposes, and they're not the views of the Davis Broadcast or any other broadcasting station. But we're designed to, of course, to intellectually stimulate and emotionally fulfill our community's need to evolve leadership and inform decision-making for our collective future. We wish you peace, love, and welcome seat. Take a seat in the room. Kick back. Drink you. Inhale some peace. This is another segment of Visions Now. You're welcome to call in. We'd love to have you to join in our discussion because of your life too. And again, we'd like to thank you for joining this segment of Visions Now, part of our Kwanzaa 365 lifestyle. Our music bed It's produced and directed and performed by Professor, my dear protege, I consider one of my sons, Professor Masiki Scales. The water brought us. And of course, you can find us on YouTube, New Era Observer, and on Facebook, Visions Now Flavor. So again, settle back and relax for a little down-home cooking. Finding out what's on the grapevine right here tonight. The weather's nice, again, kind of fallish weather. Feeling really kind of a little frosty, little frisky. It's that snuggle time. Time to do a little snuggling. If you got somebody to snuggle with. And we're gonna teach you and also how to snuggle, because some people don't know how to snuggle. Don't appreciate snuggle. But if you don't want to, might not have nobody to snuggle, but if you don't want to snuggle, something wrong with you. Yes. So again, I'd like to thank you. As always, we'd like to say, Assalamu alaikum, Hotel, Free the Land, Soul Mo to Be, praise the Lord. And of course, always, Masat, Master. Visions Now, your supper club. Come on in. Smell the menu. Enjoy yourself. No chilling allowed. No swine allowed. Just good nutrition from the motherland. Right here. Every Thursday of our new time. 7:30 to 9 sometime. 7:30 to 9 sometime. That's right. Visions Now. Welcome.
Years a person cooperate with the police and they just say, I'm gonna throw this in a trash can. It just makes their job easier. But the ones that I see beat me out the door when I was a judge were the ones that say, I have nothing to say. You can't look in my phone. Is that correct?
That is correct. Do not let them in the phone unless they have a warrant. Do not give them permission to go in your phone.
Okay. What rights do you have if a police officer asks you to see your phone to look at your calls or texts?
You can say no. You do not have to let them look at it. It's once again, the only way they can explore your phone is by a warrant signed by a judge or a magistrate, or you give them permission.
Can your phone company give information, your information, to the police without your consent?
Now that's tricky. Yes, they can. What law enforcement will do is get a warrant and will serve it upon your carrier. And your carrier will give you information. And you won't know because it's a warrant to the carrier. And they have to abide by that warrant. So they will do that.
Right. But I'm just saying to you, so those of you watching, Sprint, T-Mobile, none of them going to call you and say, listen, we got a warrant here. We want to know what's your position on this. Even if you have a lawyer. Do they have to get your lawyer's consent?
No, they do not.
Okay. They do not at all. My third.
People who've taken the mRNA vax and boosters seem different psychologically.
Yeah.
We're not imagining that.
Yeah. No. It's that's what's really happening. You see, people who have not a high production of these cells in the hippocampus, they act normally during the day. In a normal situation, they do whatever humans do, and you don't realize it. I saw that actually even in the part of my of people I know that when I saw them at parties, we could talk about everything which is trivial. But as soon as you start to talk about something more difficult, that was before 2020, you realize they don't want to you put their brain into a working mode. They just avoided these topics, and these very people who are not interested in really thinking were the ones who actually took the shots very quickly. Because you have to see the mental immune system, as I already counted off, the curiosity is lacking, so the other side of the coin of curiosity is psychological resilience, because being curious, meaning you enter a new space, new thoughts, and everything that's new is per se potentially dangerous.
Yes.
So you have to have a high psychological resilience to enter this new space. So if both is down, curiosity and psychological resilience, then you accept everything. And particularly if something comes with a lot of fear, oh, you could die, your family could die, everything is very, very dangerous, then you fall back to I would say cortical reflexes, like something that is inborn in us, behavior that's inborn. And one behavior that's inborn, of course, in humans is, and that's natural, is if there's a danger, you go into the group. You don't try to be isolated. You follow the group. And if people tell you the group is going to take this vaccine, then everybody runs and I want to have it too. You don't think, you just follow the crowd.
For those
I'm not sure if you know this or not, but you deeply hurt the man that you claim that you love by injecting poison from your mouth straight to his heart. And his mama, she taught him how to love and respect, but your mouth is so slick that even sincerity slips through the cracks and lands bruised on the floor right next to the things that you said you didn't mean, but still meant enough to say out loud. And you seem to think that your attitude is something to possess, like rage beautifully decorated in a ribbon, like you're worthy of rescue. So you confuse being broken with being right, as if a woman in distress automatically deserves the world to stop spinning just to gather her broken pieces. Baby, you keep calling it expression, but it's really entitlement. Because when he tried to speak, you called him weak. When he showed emotion, you questioned his manhood, as if the only valid tears are the ones falling from your own eyes. And baby, I don't know where you learned that a man's feelings come second, but somewhere along the way you mistook his patience for weakness and manipulation for love. You thought that he was supposed to still take the hits, all while you dance in and out of your audacity and call it self-protection or whatever you say it is, my baby. But in truth, see, that man, he still battles. He still showed up, still tried, still held space for the very mouth that spit fire when all he wanted was a soft you. You speak of being scorned like it's a free pass to harm, like healing is a one-way street where only your pain gets honored. But see, love don't grow in the shadows of someone else's suffering. And now, see, he moves like precision because he knows his worth. Just like women who shout theirs from the rooftop. See, his mama, she taught him how to love, and that love don't live where messiness gets comfortable. He'd rather leave than lose himself, trying to calm a storm that refuses to stay still. Fighting ain't in his nature, but peace is. And he's learned that a woman who can't master her mouth don't deserve a man who's mastered his patience.
War they never taught us. From 1492 to 1775, America wasn't discovered, it was invaded. Not by one country, by 7. Russia came through Alaska. The Netherlands took parts of Canada. Britain and England worked both east and west coasts. France came up through New Orleans and the Gulf. Italy moved through Texas and Gulf territories. Spain invaded from the west coast down through Argentina and Chile and back up the spine of America. This wasn't exploration. This was a 283-year war, and the target indigenous Black Americans, the copper-colored, wool-haired people already here. They didn't come here to enslave Africans. They came to steal land from the indigenous. They just called us Negro to erase who we were. By 1775, we surrendered. We lost our right to vote, lost our land, and got renamed. They threw us on reservations if we submitted and labeled us Negro if we didn't. Now they act like we don't belong, like our story started on a slave ship. But the truth, the ships never brought us here. They were used to ship us out, erase us from this land. This war wasn't just physical, it was legal, paper genocide, land grabs, reclassification. The original Americans are now called everything but what we are. You want to know why we're struggling? Because we're fighting under false names, false history, and stolen status. It's time to correct it. Learn the truth. Reclaim your status. You're not lost. You were renamed. And now it's time to return. Please like, share, and subscribe. Give your honest opinion. This is the war.
To the new nigga that want to be active, you know what I hated about selling dope? The money was great. It wasn't all that though. But the money was great. But I'm gonna tell you what I hated the most. I hated when I went to sleep at night. I woke up in fear in the morning. Do you know what it's like to go to sleep at peace and wake up scared? Do you know what it's like to think every morning, any day now, your door gonna come off the hinges by the police or a nigga trying to kill you and take what you got? That shit real. And if you ain't never felt that, you ain't out here really doing shit. Or you ain't out here doing shit. Because ain't no peace in this shit. That's why you gotta find your peace and get away from this shit. You feel me? I just felt like that was something you niggas needed to know this morning. Because I wake up now. See, I ain't got bags under my eyes no more. I wake up now at peace. You niggas need to try that shit.
We live in a nation that makes sure that every boy, especially black and brown, touches the football or basketball before the age of 4. No one questions that. My vision now is to have 1 million kids doing STEM on Saturdays all across this country, hoping and dreaming and believing that one day, 18, 19 years later, there'll be one of the 14.4 millionaires in the world or one of the 3,250 billionaires in the world. And the thing about it is that out of those 3,250 billionaires in the world, not one of them ever played in the NFL. Only 1 or 2 have played in the NBA. Only 3 or 4 has ever been rappers. Only 5 or 6 has been entertainers. That leaves like 3,235 different positions for them to become millionaires.
And I grew up in a world where overt expressions of that were not acceptable. You weren't allowed to generalize on the basis of race because the assumption was each person is an individual. I don't understand when it became okay to generalize about racial groups.
I think while some people have the luxury to be raised only being told to look at individual people, it should be no surprise to you that Black people, in particular Black men, have been taught forever that they have to be careful how they behave around white people, that the way they behave will be interpreted differently, that when they misbehave, it'll be punished differently, that if they laugh too loud, if they walk into a nice store. So with all due respect, Tucker, what was true for you has never been true for lots of people.
I mean, there are a lot of ways to respond to that. One, on a factual basis, and in truth, in a lot of places in this country, the main threat that African Americans face is not from white people, as you perfectly well know.
So I first want to respond to the first comment. I think is while it's true that, of course, people of color face threats from other people of color, it's also true that white people face the overwhelming threat from white people. That is,
right.
People face threats from who they live beside. So
That's
I
right.
find
exactly.
But I think it's fair to point out that we oughtn't be distasteful and say things like, well, the great threat. It does feed a certain uglier narrative that we don't want.
But why does the truth ever feed a, quote, ugly narrative?
It is deeply suspicious that people are so quick to say things like the main threat facing African Americans is other African Americans, but you never hear anybody say the main threat facing white people is white people.
So you say, for example, I will have to discuss with my boys whether they can truly be friends with white people. history has provided little reason for people of color to trust white people.
And the argument I make is, look, in a country where it turns out that when the most vulnerable people of color are under threat, those who they count on are nowhere to be seen. If we have a president who marshals forces of hatred and anger and divisiveness and frankly, just danger, if the people who call themselves your friends are not going to push back against that, then maybe you can tell me why it is I should trust those people.
Well,
when those who count themselves as your friend see that others put you in danger,
right?
It is their opportunity to prove they're your friend. It's fine to be friendly with them, but these are not your friends. We live in a country where we oughtn't pretend that these divides have not consistently been on racial grounds. And we see that over and over and over.
That's true. I agree.
When black people are in danger from, say, addiction, we get policing. When white people are in danger from addiction, they get rehabilitation. When black people don't have jobs, we get stories about why we're making the wrong choices. When white people don't have jobs, we get a presidential campaign about the forgotten class.
Here as well, as you can see, Junior Marquez and Nathan Jose. Is that right? Was it Jose?
Yeah, I mean, don't disregard
Okay. That Afro Latino in the house. Yes, sir. So again, we do have in the bullpen, ready to get on the mound, Reverend Richard Jesse, and and he's a fastball thrower, and I think he put a few knuckleballs in there, and threw a few curves, a few sliders, and my dear brother. Richard Jesse. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing great, sir. All things considered, we want to thank God for allowing us just to be here.
That part.
Yes, sir.
No doubt about it. So, thank you for taking out the time out of your very, very busy schedule. And, of course, you know, you have a lot of updating to do because you've been missing in action a little bit. And, doing that laborer's work in the vineyard. Again, life is lifing, I guess, on my end, as you know, we talked about. And so I just leave it at that point. And so we lifing. And like I was trying to say to my brothers here, that at different stages of life, you know, there are different challenges. And so, so therefore I try to candidly share my challenges at this stage. So therefore, as they're approaching this stage, then they will kind of at least be alert to some of the things that one might encounter.
Yes, sir.
So there's no doubt about it. So let's jump right in because there's so much we need to cover. Excuse me. And of course, did you hear? Did you have a chance to listen to any of those reels that we had?
I have not. Let me just be honest with you. But I know.
Well, no problem.
I know that the work goes on. And let me just take off my hat. And you don't have a hat on, but if I had a hat on, I would take off my hat.
And you do wear hats. You're a hat guy too.
To the work that you consistently have been doing. And in our talk, we want to just try to encourage those who are listening to understand how important it is for us to fulfill our purpose. All of us have a purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is, you can discover what your purpose is through prayer, through talking to others that might know something about that.
That's right.
But
That's right.
discover what your purpose is.
That's right.
Time is running out. You talking about us getting older. That's what you were trying to say. But let me, we are, and the truth of the matter is, and I want folk to hear us, we are literally dying out. Those of us who are baby boomers, those of us who are left, we are just grateful that God has seen fit to leave us here. But we're not just here to be here.
That's right.
Some of us are here so that we can connect with these generations that are behind us.
That's right.
And some way get them to understand that every generation has a responsibility.
That's right.
Has a responsibility to make life better, not only for yourself, but also for your family, for your community, for the world. And all of us have something that we can contribute to that happening. And during this talk, we want to just encourage people who are listening. All of you are important. But there's one thing that no matter how rich you are, how poor you are, what your education level is, there's one thing that all of us have that's equal, and that's the vote in this country. That's the vote. And we have an election coming.
Right. Well, we're gonna get to that. We have a number of things we want to say that for the latter part of our discussion. I want to kind of put things in order here a little bit. But let me just add to what you just said, and that is I would add to it that really you're not really doing anything for yourself unless you are doing something for others. That really you can't really do anything just for yourself. And when you're doing that, you're really doing something against your best self-interest. There's an African proverb that goes like this. It says, among true friends, even a cool drink of water is sweet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, in other words, it didn't say going on a cruise. It didn't say, taking the plane to outer space. It didn't say going to the casino. It didn't say, going to the festival. It says sharing a cool drink of water.
Yes, sir.
With a true friend is sweet.
Yes, sir.
And so that's what I believe in, and so just having a good conversation with a friend is sweet, and so I enjoy. And of course, we've been tag teaming a long time, and so I've always enjoyed sharing whatever platform I have with you, because I know where your heart is and your dedication is. Now,
we appreciate that.
One of the things that I guess let's start off here with this, and that is now you've been on a little tour.
Yes, sir.
And of course I understand that you saw our dear sister Margaret Jenkins doing that, somewhere along that journey line. And certainly I hope that you gave the greetings from all of us and our love.
I did.
Because she certainly she certainly has not outlived her usefulness.
Well, sometimes when we get older and she is wondering why she's still here, and I told her she was still here so that I could come visit her.
That's right. That's right.
The thing about it is that tour, that road trip that I took, and you want me to do a short version?
Yes, sir. And what the point of each of those stops, would be helpful just kind of to highlight, the lesson from each of those stops.
Well, the first thing we did, we left here on a Tuesday and went to Memphis, Tennessee. I have a cousin that lives in Memphis, and they had invited me to come stay with them overnight whenever I could. I've been going for a while, but I spent the night with this cousin, retired Air Force person, and his wife, and had a wonderful time that night and that morning. And then I went to the Lorraine Motel, where Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Yeah, I had the fortune of taking some students up there. I don't know if you remember some years ago when we took some buses up there with some of our after school students and their parents, and we had a tremendous weekend. But it's a very moving weekend as well to go there and look at his bed and go in the balcony and even go up to the room where the assailant was supposedly took his shot at Dr. King.
Yeah. Like you said, a moving experience. Had a protester out. We took pictures of the protester, and she was protesting that the Rain Motel was owned by white people. And I asked her, well, what's your plan to pull together the resources to buy it? And she stopped talking to me because she had no plan.
Right.
And she has the right to protest that. We have got to take responsibility for what we do with our time.
That part.
And there are some things, and she has the right to do that.
That's right. And that's better than maybe again the point that you're making is that maybe she actually highlight the necessity for that answer for a lot of people. So maybe that was a blessing.
Well, it could be if it encourages those who have the mind can get the vision of buying it
Right.
for our benefit. And she was talking about they making money off our history. So the important thing I think out of this is we who God gives vision, if we pursue the vision that God gives us, God will help us to make it happen.
Right.
And sometimes we don't know the whole story. We don't know what it's going to take. But when you start working on towards something, when you start working on your vision, it just seems like those who know God just helps to work it out for us. And we have some tremendous incidents where we can prove that. But let me go on a good visit to Memphis, and then we went on to Little Rock, Arkansas. We're pressing towards Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, my old stomping ground, Little Rock.
Yes,
I understand. Spent a little time around there.
Yeah, but when I got there, their Black History Cultural Building was closed, and so I just took pictures around it, and I went on, stayed the night at Fort Smith, Arkansas. Got up that morning, went on to Tulsa. Yes, sir. Got to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we had tried to get a appointment for a tour. They give tours of the area. One descendants of the massacre have organized things where they do a tour, and that tour was booked up until October.
Wow.
And so just being there, I was introduced to a young man who does personal tours, and he took me on a tour of the Tulsa from before the 1921 massacre. And for those who don't know, there was a young man that was accused, and I thought that they had harmed him, but they didn't actually do anything to the young man that was accused. But it sparked a riot, a white riot, on this Black Wall Street, this area where black businessmen had come, and the Tulsa, Oklahoma was rich in oil.
Right.
The thing about it is a lot of families got wealthy, and they built businesses, and it was just a wonderful area of commerce, similar to how the Liberty District used to be at one time.
Right.
And then
let me just put I'm gonna jump in periodically. Let me just say this on that note there. And historically, That was the Red Summer of 1919. And there was a lot of rebellion, a lot of riots against the independent movement of American African citizens who were developing communities, developing towns. They were doing a lot of things, and so in 1920, basically the Euro-American population in that area was becoming rather envious of the prosperity of the African American population, the American African population. And as a result of that envy, they just, in other words, my point is that was just an excuse for what they were trying to figure out. You know, sometimes people, they can't quite do what they want to do. So they, you know, it's just like you can, if you want to put troops all over America, then you can act like all of a sudden that, you know, there's a tremendous crime problem here. And so, you know, whatever, you know, you can come up with a reason, a rationale that you can sell to do what you have been plotting to do all along.
No question about it. And people are so gullible that they will go along with a lie. They'll go along with false accusations. They'll go along with people's imagination. And what happened there was these folk gonna avenge this girl's honor and went and started firing on these black businesses and homes. But the black businesses and homes had guns too.
At that
And
point,
they started firing back.
Right.
And these folks started losing the battle that they had started.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some of the farmers had airplanes, crop dusters, and so they made homemade bombs. And they bombed those folk homes and businesses. And it was just a terrible situation. Some 300 folk, over 300 folk died in that massacre. That's what it was. And these folk, when after all the dust had settled, they tried to get the folk to move away, go somewhere else. Like you were saying, always some haters around. And all white folk ain't haters. Let me just throw that in.
No, you don't have to say that, but you know, but you know, but it's kind of like the piece that we just watched, and I guess you didn't see it, but it's the real that talked about.
It. I heard.
Okay, and like he was
the Tucker.
Right, Tucker, right. And so therefore, I mean, you know, they might not be haters, but again, they're not necessarily lovers either.
Some are lovers,
Right.
but let me say this:
Right. I'm talking about those.
We always will have evil.
Those that don't do anything. I'm talking, but there are those who stand for what is right, and there are even those who stand for right, even though they're not necessarily favor or friend, but they know right is right and wrong is wrong.
Absolutely.
So and that's all you can ask for anybody to do. Just stand for what's right.
Yeah, well, the wickedness that's in the world, and it's going to be in the world until we go on to glory. But we just have to make sure that we are right. And when we choose the righteousness of God, we see how God will work things out for us. And let me finish the little story about Tulsa Greenwood. And they got a saying that if somebody come there talking about the Black Wall Street, they know they from out of town because they're talking about the Greenwood community.
That's right,
Yeah.
Greenwood.
And so these folk had offered, tried to get them to pack up and move somewhere else, you know. And they said they weren't going to do it. And they rebuild that community to some 40 blocks. They had built Greenwood back up, and that Black Wall Street was thriving again. And then all of a sudden, they decided to build an interstate highway right in the middle of the Greenwood community.
And let's take a pin in that. Let me say this. If you look at America, in most of the major cities, I know Detroit, Chicago, and many others, that same thing was done in all those cities. They put highways, Little Arkansas, they put highways right through the middle of the prosperity areas of the Black community.
That's right. And cut that 40 blocks down to 10. And the sad thing about it is when these folk bought this property, and they paid something for it. They paid them a third of what it was worth. That's what they did. And but yet there was a good group of them who stayed put and still have businesses there. You know, they have a cultural center there. Cultural center that had that 1,200-seat auditorium like we were planning for the Liberty District.
That's
here.
right.
So it's a wonderful story. They have a museum there that starts off with Maya Angelou reading her poem, I Rise. And the thing about it is they show how that community has risen over and over again when there were those who wanted to keep them in their place. And that reminds me of what was said in Columbus, Georgia, on April the 16th, 1865, after the former slave owners realized that the slaves had been set free in Columbus. They said, we got to come up with a way to keep them in their place. And you can track every decade of what was done to keep us in our place, to keep us down, to keep us from thriving, to keep us from doing what we needed to be doing. But yet we rose and we kept on rising, and we are still rising, you know. So
but let me just say this, brother Jesse. Along that line, going back again, my mind goes back to the comment that you made to the young lady who was protesting the ownership of the Lorraine Hotel. And that is, and as you know and I know, that when we grew up, you say right here in Columbus, Georgia, we were more entrepreneurial, and we had our and that's why when we talk about the Liberty District, we had our own business acumen in areas and so the difference, I guess, my point is that today we talk about what that lady was talking about, but back in the day we actually was about owning, so that we would have some place, even though it might not be as grand and as beautiful as others, but it's God bless the child that got their own. And so therefore, and I think that's one of the things that when I look at progress, and that's why I don't want to say we have made any progress per se, but I would say that in the area of the vitality of economics, we have not made the progress. We made it in terms of employment, but not in terms of business.
Well, and that's important that you say that, because we need to understand what this disconnect has done, and this is the disconnect between our generations. When we were coming up, Doc, my granddaddy lived in Fort Valley. My mom and daddy from Fort Valley, Georgia. And when we became 12 years old, if you were in our family, you would go to Fort Valley for your summer job. And we would work in the peach fields. You know,
that's right. That's
and
right.
but we would have money to go to the fair and then to bring back home and give it our mama, you know, to help make it through the fall, the winter, and the spring.
Exactly.
And
you're working with your family. The other thing about it is you're connecting with your family.
Yeah.
And that's really what's
Absolutely.
probably as valuable as the money was. You were connecting with your roots. You were connecting with your family, fellowship, and actually not just, I know some people don't even know they first cousins. You know what I'm saying? So back in those times, you knew your second and third and fourth and fifth cousins.
Yeah. And we need to, let me say this. There is a disconnect. We know about it. But for those who want to improve that situation, you have all you need to start that process to happen. And it's important that we do this. This is a crisis situation for us, that our generations are disconnected. And we need to see it as a crisis, so that those who are listening will make an effort to begin to heal that situation. And we can do it.
Exactly. You know, when I go into the prison, brother, one of the things that I ask them, do you know who your granddaddy was, your grandmama, and do you know who your great? In other words, many times they don't even know and don't even understand the value. And I've said, no, I would venture to say, and I tell them this: the reason why you ended up in prison the way you have is because you did not learn to honor your elders, and you did not learn to honor your elders. Elders were your ancestors, and therefore you did not come to value yourself.
Amen. Amen. You got to be trained. They got to be taught that. And unfortunately, after the baby boomers, some of the Gen X's and millennials began to form attitudes and began to not really look at us as a valuable resource for them. So
right. They can't wait. They can't wait for you to get out the way, Reverend Jesse.
Yeah.
They want to say, when you gonna leave and get out the way?
Well, the thing about it is, if I get out the way, they're gonna double up on making the mistakes that we made. And I say to all of these generations behind us, do better than we did. Now,
that's right.
Let me say there's another part to that. Do better than we did. You have a very hard act to follow.
That's right.
But they can do it. And we want them to do it. We want to help them be able to do it.
We made it look easy though, Reverend Jesse. We made it look easy. And I think that's part of the problem.
It was fun.
Exactly. We made it look easy.
Yeah. It was fun for us, and it could be fun for them also. When you're doing what's good for yourself, you feel good about yourself. You have good self-esteem. One of the reasons folks feel so bad because they know that they're not doing what they should be doing. They're not taking responsibility for what belongs to them. And this is the tragedy of this whole process. I was at the National NAACP convention when Ben Jealous was the executive secretary for the NAACP. And he started one of his conferences by saying, he asked his grandmama, how did things get the way they are? And, you know, that was during the recession of the 2026 or 2006 or something like that. But his grandmama said this to him. We were so busy trying to get what we wanted, we didn't hold on to what we had. And I want to say to those who are listening to me, you need to take assessment of what you have. You are in a position that you just didn't get where you got a good house to live in, where you can go where you need to go, where you want to go, and nobody's keeping you from that. Generation before you didn't have that, but they worked to get it. And we want folk to take an assessment of what God has given them, where they are, because we have been wandering in a type of spiritual wilderness for 40, 50 years. And it's time for us, all of us, to take an assessment of where we are and what we have so that we can build on what we have. If you don't build on what you have, you start losing stuff.
Right. And that means that you have to, again, somewhere along the line, and you know, matter of fact, in our, you know, we had a little, and we miss you, of course, but we had a little preliminary advisory meeting today about the project that we are doing together, and one of the things that came up was that, you know, we were talking about in our day, and I'm saying that like in our day, we couldn't be like they are today. And in the discussion, you know, one of the young ladies, and I understand what she was saying, was that, well, you know, I wish we could go back to those times. And I told her, no, what we need to do is bring those times up to date. That we need to just bring those times, those values, that love, that dedication, and like you were talking about before, that sense of self-reliance. We can't go back there, but we can bring it up to date. So therefore, that's what we can. I mean, that's what they got to build on.
They need to understand when we talk about the good old days, they can build their own good old days today. The thing about it is, they can learn from us to avoid making mistakes.
That's right.
They can learn from us how we were able to do certain things and get certain things done. Exactly. I'm available. You know, I was talking about my granddaddy, but when I came of age, I made sure that I was in a trade that my children, my nieces and nephews, if they wanted to work, they could come work with me. You know,
That's right.
that's why I went in the construction field. That's why, my uncles and them were in construction so that
That's right.
they made good money.
That's
But
right.
they also
Oh, yeah.
hired folk. They were employers. They
And
were
they still
entrepreneurs.
and people in that field still making good money today.
Yes, sir. And so we need to encourage folk to really consider what your aptitude, what's your natural ability. I mean, what do you like to do? And there are
That's right.
tests that they give, aptitude tests, and you can sort of get an idea from that what line of work you might do well in.
Right. One of the things that I add to that, Reverend, just because I stopped assuming that because I as a psychologist, I started stopping assuming that people say, well, common sense. I stopped assuming that common sense is common. And one of the things that I realized is that that what you were talking about there is that too many of them don't understand is that, first of all, that our motivation, and we take it for granted, I think, but everything that we did it with the understanding of how, like you said, how this is going to help the family. Not how am I going to make some money, but how is it going to help my family? See, that's a different mindset, a different value set. And so you said it just because it was natural. But I wanted to pause there because I hear so often that people's motivation is not doing things so that they can perpetuate the family and assure the well-being of the family, but they're doing it for money. And so therein lies something that we're going to have to work on with the generation after us, is that is what enslaves them. Is that love for money, that greed is what has determined
Somebody
that.
made a song
Right.
about that, didn't they? OJ's or somebody, money.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Let me throw this in because this is so important. When Marshall Middle School, before it closed, did not have an active PTA.
That's right. I remember.
I became the president of the PTA. I didn't have no children or grandchildren.
Right. And I went to Carmen. I became the president of Carmen.
I had a responsibility to that school. And I asked the Lord, what should I be saying to these young teenagers, almost teenagers? What do you want me to say to them? And this is what the Lord told me. Tell them to ask me for wisdom, so they'll know the difference between right and wrong, what's good and bad, what's best for them, and what's worse for them. And
just let me say this. This is the God is good all the time, because I wrote down 2 quotes today. I read you the first one about the water, but let me tell you what the second quote that I had written down, what you just said. The second quote is this. It said, if you are filled with pride, there's no room for wisdom.
Absolutely. And people are so full of pride, and they know
that's what I had
they got a pride problem.
I didn't know you were going to say that. I didn't know you were going to say that. Well, but I'm just trying to tell you how the Lord knew you were going to say it. And I had already written down that quote right here. If you are filled with pride, then there's no room for wisdom.
Doc, let me tell you what those young kids did, those children at Marshall did when I presented that to them. They made poems and wrote rap songs on wisdom. They did a video, a CD on wisdom, and all I did was through the idea, the thought, the understanding out there of what God is saying to them to ask him for. And let me tell you something. Although most of those young people were in homes that had no knowledge of God, they took that scripture and they developed it. And I was so disappointed that the chorus teacher who videotaped that play. We had a program, and they presented all of these wonderful ideas based on wisdom. And so I hear people talking about young people don't have any patience. And it just it comes to me, they don't have patience because the person who's saying that don't have patience. You have to teach
That's
these
right.
people, our people, children, the attributes that
Right.
will help them to be able to negotiate life and the fruit of the spirit. This is these 9 areas that we need them to understand. You can acquire these. I don't care what your history is, what your family history is, whether nobody knew nothing, know anything. Love, joy, and peace. Patience is
Right.
one of those attributes. Self-control is one of those attributes of God that He will allow us to get if we want them. You got to want them.
Right.
So
Right. Reverend Justin, let me say
yes,
this.
sir.
We're going to do a part 2 next week.
Okay.
Because and I like this again because this is what we need. You didn't need to do no quickie. We needed to go there that you did and stop. We need to stop at these stops and pull out some knowledge, some understanding, some wisdom out of this. And I think I think that this has been wonderful. I mean, I think this is where it should go. We ain't got to be in no rush.
Okay,
because
and I can appreciate that. I just want folks to look up scripture as we talk, because scripture can help you move from where you are to where you want to go, to where your potential is. But Galatians 5:22, need to read that and understand what those words, those 9 attributes of God that He expects us to acquire, to exhibit, to live. And when we do, life is better. When we choose a standard for ourselves that will help us to get to our potential. And that's what this is all about. We got some entrepreneurs out there, some young folk who want to be business folk. Everybody can't be in business. Some folk got to be the workers. And don't feel bad because you are not the leader or the business person. He can't make it unless he got folk working for him. And let me say this to the business folk: you need to pay the folk working for you a livable wage.
Right.
Period.
Right. Let me say this. I take a little. I'm gonna add to that. I'm gonna build on that.
Yes.
And my position is that there are 2 things you can do. You can work for someone, or you can work with someone.
All right, I like that.
Okay, and that means that even if you are paying me, I can work with you, but I'm a business and you're a business too. But we're working together. We're working with each other and not for each other. You follow what I'm saying?
You'll learn that respect begets respect.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
That's right. So therefore, my thing is that we all are a business in and of ourselves.
Yes,
When
sir.
they say, man your own business. Then they say, man your own business. Everybody got some business. Nathan got some business. Julia, we all got some business. So we all business people.
Yes, sir. I like that. I like.
But before we call, I want to give Nathan and Junior the chance to ask you a question or make a comment on whatever they heard, because before we go as well. So we'll start with you, Nathan. Anything you like to elevate that you heard in our discussion, or anything you like to kind of add something to?
I really couldn't hear Reverend Jesse. Like, I'm listening through Julian's phone.
Okay.
But no, I can't think of anything that I heard.
Okay. What about you, Julian? Anything you like to?
Yeah. How was it? I don't know if you mentioned the at the Liberty how the meeting went.
Oh yes, yeah. The meeting. Could you jump to the meeting at the Liberty? What were your takeaways from that meeting?
You're talking about the one at the library?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That meeting primarily was to hear from the community about what they would like to see at the Liberty Theater that would get them to come there and support it. And the community has the opportunity to say, now's the time. Can't wait till later on. Let me say this about Julian and Nathan and a few other young men that Brother Dre. I am so pleased and excited to be working with these young men. They have ideas, and we want to make sure that we listen to their ideas and then implement them when they can. These young men have come up with themes and come up with. We got a emblem for the Liberty District right now that we're going to be approving next Tuesday. And we want to invite folk to come to the Prince Hall Masonic Temple on Tuesday of this coming week, next week, and get involved in this wonderful project that is going to teach us so much, and we're going to learn so much from each other and about
Right.
each other,
Right.
and it is a wonderful thing. So that
So
meeting, and I think
uh-huh.
they got one more meeting where they are listening to the community about what you would like to see in the Liberty Theater now. We're talking
Right,
about the
right,
theater.
right. Well, and the theater is in the district too. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
it was in the theater, it's gonna be in the district. So, but what were some other takeaways? Were there other takeaways from that meeting that you got?
Well, we understand more of where we are in this process of restoring the Liberty Theater and working on the Liberty District. And what I said to the assistant city manager, who was Lisa Goodwin, I'm glad I thought her name. I've been trying to think of her name for a couple of days. But Lisa Goodwin.
You welcome.
And Lisa Goodwin, the architect, Scott, who took Mr. Clark's place, and Mimi Wilson was there. These folk, and let me say, we always looking for some leadership to come up. Leadership is us. We the
That's right.
leadership.
That's
You know,
right.
those folks
That just
who
like we the business people, we the leadership.
make their time to do things in the community. I don't let folk know that I'm offended when I've been working on putting things together, and then they tell me we need some leadership.
Hey, no comment.
No comment. They don't even know that they don't say something stupid. But
Right,
anyway,
right. Well, again, that part. But again, like I said, we're gonna revisit this because again, we understand what we in for, and it's not. As I say, it's not, the race is not for the swift, it's for those who that endure, and we're part of the endurance. So again, we want to thank you and get you some rest, and I'm gonna try to get in and get me a little rest as well. But I want to thank you for joining us. And again, if you can't make part 2 now, let me know. But again, we plan on part 2 because we still.
Let's do it. We talking about next week, right? We'll do part 2 next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
I'm going to be looking forward to it.
No doubt, no doubt. Because we'll be meeting in between time.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, but I want this vision now in the Supper Club to have of you and for us to be able to expound on your journey and also on the project that we've been trying to elevate and emancipate.
Yes, sir.
So again,
I need to tell you what Mrs. Jenkins said about you. Anyway, that's another story.
Okay, you'll tell me offline. I know she did.
It's all good. It's all good, sir. It's all good. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, she used to be 2 Margarets. It used to be 3 Margarets. Well, yeah, there 3 Margarets. That's right. And I knew all 3 of them. And all three of them were different. And all 3 of them I loved them, and they were certainly inspirations for me as well. And I learned a lot from watching
Margaret Belcher, Margaret Jenkins,
Dawson,
and Margaret Dawson. Yes,
that's
sir.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Again, we're gonna get ready to roll on out here. You don't have to leave, but again, as always, want to say
organize.
That's right. That's right, brother. Yeah, yes, sir. No doubt. And that's what, and bro, Jess, that's what we doing too. Organizing. That's exactly right.
Sir. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, brother. No doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
So as always, organize. Promoted to Shendaru, Sasawa, Missouri. Stay tuned to Visions Now for further information. Also go to New Era Observer for your news and views. We'd like to thank you for joining us tonight from the team. Backward never, forward ever. As always, peace be unto you. We love you. See you next time. You are the one that we were expecting. You are the one to make a difference. Peace, soul, and power. Good night.
Iṣẹ́ Olúwa kò lè bàjẹ́ o. 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 What the Creator has created, no man can destroy. What the Creator has created, no man can destroy. What the Creator has created, no man can destroy. What the Creator has created, no man can destroy. Dance to bring the rain, dance to ease the pain, dance for that warm feeling, dance for the healing, dance to bring the rain, dance to ease the pain, dance for that warm feeling, dance for the healing, dance to bring the rain, dance ease the pain, dance for that warm feeling, for the healing, dance, stand your ground, dance, bring the spirits down, dance, make that sacred sound, dance, this is going down. No man can destroy what the Creator has created. We're gonna dance, make that sacred sound, dance. We're gonna dance, dance. Gonna keep on dancing, dance, dance. Bring the spirits down, talking drama, make that sacred sound. It's all and it's
mentioned that honesty. A lot of brothers who are either cheating or have cheated on their women and their women don't know. Part of the reason why they don't bring it up is because they say, Doc, I love this woman so much. If you really love her, you'll give her the power to choose. Even if that's at the expense of her leaving, And so many men, I remember the scene from Color Purple, the original joint, when Celia hit him with the fingers, and she said, "Till you do right by me, everything you touch is gonna fail." It may not happen all at once, but we be carrying so much of this secret infidelity in our heart. The finances start f***ing up, kidneys start to conk out, right? Family issues start to come up. You can't understand why she's always argumentative with you, because in the back of her subconscious mind, she picking up on that shit even though you ain't say it yet. So if you really got love for this woman and for your family structure, get that shit off your chest, bro. Give it a choice.
And I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But that's one voice out of the 20 or 30 men in their circle.
Absolutely.
Like, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take that to the break, bro.
So we got to hold each other
Because you
accountable
might
too.
even tell your dude, like, yeah, I did blah, 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 blah. What should I do? Don't say. That's the first thing a lot of men will tell. So we grow up in cheating culture.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I ain't gonna dry snitch now, but it's family members I know that I knew that they were cheating on auntie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they sit you down. Don't say nothing. Don't say, and then you learn that early. It's almost like no snitching. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of men go on missions with their fathers going to cheat.
That's true. And I love that you said this man, if he loved this woman enough, he wouldn't cheat. My thing is, if he loved himself enough, he wouldn't cheat. Because commitment is a self thing. Like, I commit to me before I commit to you. You as a man, you commit to God if that's what you believe in, before you can even cover me. And so there's a hierarchy to commitment. I don't want a man not cheating on me because you love me, because you're going to cheat, bruh. Because the love you have for me can waver. But the relationship and the commitment you have to yourself should be vertical. And it's easier for you to keep your verticalness within you than it is for you to keep that with me.
Texture, the feel, appearance, or consistency of the surface or substance.
He's still slaves to your dick past 40 is fucking crazy. Still cheating on your wives, huh? Still over loyal to your boys who, if she gave him the chance, would try to slide her. How you still claiming integrity, highest pedigree, and every chick face in the club without your wedding ring?
Lying to us for over 3,000 years, and now a clay tablet older than the Bible just blew the lid off everything. You remember Pythagoras, right? The triangle guy. The guy your math teacher swore was some kind of genius, except he didn't invent the theorem. He stole it. A recently decoded Babylonian tablet proves it. The Pythagorean theorem. It was carved into stone over 1,000 years before Pythagoras was even born. Let that sink in. That equation we all learned in school. It's not Greek, it's ancient, powerful, and buried on purpose. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Our entire history is built on edited footnotes. The past was manipulated. The credits were reassigned. The truth was buried in dust. Until now, because now AI is waking up. It's scanning ancient symbols, translating forgotten languages, decoding tablets that have been silent for 4,000 years, and exposing secrets that were never meant to be found. If AI can do that to the past, imagine what it can do for your future. Right now, most people are using AI to write emails. Cute. But a tiny group of insiders are using it to decode hidden knowledge, automate income, amplify intelligence, and move like the elite. All while the world is still asleep. That's why we created AI Forbidden Secrets. Not to teach you how to use a chatbot, but to show you how AI is being used in the shadows to shift power, control information, and open doors that no one else can even see. This isn't some tech trend. It's the key to the locked vault of human history and the blueprint for what comes next. Because this isn't just about math. This is about truth, control, legacy, and whether you'll be part of the next era or left behind, believing a story that was never real. So here's your decision. Scroll past like it's just another ad, or lean in and step into the most important shift of our lifetime.
Finished the Bible study, and I'm telling you, this was so good. Y'all know how I get. I gotta share it with somebody. Look, I ain't gonna take up too much of your time. I promise you, it's gonna be worth it. Okay, just hear me out. So in Luke chapter 10, Jesus tells us the story of the Good Samaritan, and you may have heard this story before. for it. But what I'm about to show you may change the way you read it forever. So in verse 25, we have this man who is identified as an expert in the law. Okay. Now these experts didn't like Jesus. They didn't fool with him. The only reason they would even talk to him was to try to catch him slipping. And that is exactly what this man was trying to do. The expert stood up and said to Jesus, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Now see, that's why you got to slow down when you read. You done already missed something. Now we've already established the relationship between these experts and Jesus. They ain't like him. So when the expert says teacher, that isn't a term used out of respect. It's being used like sarcasm. It's almost as if he's saying, "Hey, sir, since you know so much, what do I have to do to inherit eternal life?" It was a test. Now, before asking his question, what did this expert do? He stood up. See, most people overlook that part, but it's actually very important, because if you didn't already know, you're about to find out what happens when you stand up to God. Watch how Jesus responds. Jesus says, "What is written in the law, and how do you read it?" Now, what do I always tell y'all? If God is an all-knowing God, why does he need to ask questions? Because God's questions aren't to find answers. God's questions are to reveal problems. And the problem here is this man was considered to be an expert, but he was asking questions like he was an intern. So in other words, Jesus is saying, I know you claim to be an expert. And in order for you to be an expert, you have to spend a lot of time in the Word. So what I want to know is, what do you know? Because I'm not fascinated by how long you've been in the church. Just because you've been going doesn't mean you've been growing. And just because you've been reading doesn't mean you've been reading right. To that, the man responded, well, it says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus says, you have answered correctly. Do this and you will live. Now, please don't miss this, because it seems simple, but it's actually complex. Jesus said, do this and you will live, to somebody that's already alive. So what does that mean? It means the life you want to live is on the other side of the action you have refused to take. See, only 3 of y'all caught that, because most of y'all think Jesus is only talking to this expert, when in reality, Jesus is talking to you. Jesus is saying, I know what you claim to be, but from my examination, you're not what you think you are. You've become an expert in the memorization of information, not the application of information. If you would simply do what you knew, you wouldn't have to dream about the life you want to live. You would already be living it. It's obvious that you know the information, but it's even more obvious that you know way too much not to be doing better than what you're doing. Y'all, I'm not even close to being done. It's just part 1. But I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let you go, because I know you got stuff to do. If you want it as bad as you say you do, why don't you live like it? Y'all, I just finished the